I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Taurus for April 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter where you will get a write-up of the upcoming astrology a month ahead for your planning purposes. So what's going on in the month of April? First of all, we have birthdays. Birthdays are an amazing astrological power period where the universe is very receptive to your desires. You can check out my video called Making Wishes Come True. Well, it has a longer name, but if you just put in Making Wishes Come True and Annie, you'll find it. I also have a blog on the topic. It shows you how to use an astrological power period like your birthday to make your wishes come true. The sun represents what you desire, what you want. And so when the sun in the sky comes back to the same point it was at in your chart, it creates an open portal for your desires. This is where birthday wishes come from. They're astrologically based. So make sure you take full advantage of your 10 birthday wishes by saying them, writing them down, saying them out loud, and feeling them as if they're coming true. That's one of the big keys to manifestation. So happy birthday and happy wishing. So what else do we have going on? I want to talk about a placement called Transiting North Node. In natal charts, the area that we look for the highest expression in this lifetime for that person is the North Node. And this is someone's life purpose, their dharma, what they're here to do. When we're looking at the North Node in transit, we're looking at short-term keys of areas of focus for the short term that help to bring the person more in alignment with their highest expression. So I want to talk about what that looks like for you early degree placements and some of you middle degree placements. So basically for the April born Taurus placements and for the first, week or so, you've got of the birthday of in May, you've got this North Node transiting in the 5th house. And this is also true if you're looking at like 0 through, 15 or so degrees of your rising sign. Those of you kind of in the middle there, if you have a middle degree placement, you might have it also in the 4th house, which we'll talk about in a second. So the transiting North Node, as it relates to the 5th house, the key here is telling you to make more time for fun. That making more time for fun will actually be one of the keys to your ultimate life purpose accomplishment. For the rest of the middle degree placements and the late degree placements, so those of you after the first week of May and through the rest of the sign and the second half degree-wise for your rising sign, your transiting North Node, so one of the keys to your highest expression, is in the 4th house. And the 4th house has to do with home and family focus. This also has to do with psychology and the psychology of childhood as it relates to your adulthood. We are constantly running 7-year cycles of experiences from our childhood that also preceded us from our lineage. So you can be experiencing something, a hardship that your mother energetically felt when you were being born, or in the time period that, just before you were born or after you were born, a trauma, a difficulty, a challenge, an obstacle that you will notice that you will experience as a theme for your life. So studying this psychology as it relates to your current circumstances holds one of those keys to your highest expression. There is a massive amount of energy for all early, middle, and late degree placements for Taurus in the 12th house. And this is common right before your birthday or right before the sun moves over your ascendant if you're watching for your rising sign. The 12th house is the house of fears. It's the house of darkness and raw unconscious power. So when the sun and other planets get there, it lights up. It's like a spotlight for, like in an attic is how I always liken this. So when you turn a big light on in an attic, you can have a great situation where you find something that was lost or find something of value. Or you can find something living up there that shouldn't be there and it's really gross, This is the energy that happens before your birthday or before the sun moves over your ascendant, if you're watching for your rising sign, is the part where you look to see, to take stock of what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses that you're working with as far as what you're wanting to bring into the world. And then acknowledging and amplifying the strengths with the spotlight, that light of energy, you know, the sun moving through there. And for the places where there are weaknesses or things that have to be cleaned up, you look to assess the issue and start to work on it. So you might notice that you get a little stressed before your birthday. Some people would think of this as, oh, it's a natural part of the aging process that we reassess our lives before our birthdays, etc. But part of this really is the fact that the sun is moving through your 12th house, bringing light to your fears and your obstacles and your unconscious blocks, and it can be very uncomfortable. So my recommendation, rather than partying to avoid it, which is what a lot of people wind up doing, is creating, you know, either partying or work or some sort of something they pour themselves into to avoid the feelings, is to actively work with this energy, acknowledge it, say hello to it, you know, do different modalities where you're addressing the concerns that come up when this transit is present. And that will put you in a better position when your birthday comes to know what you want, because it's easier to assess what you want when you know what you don't want and what you're afraid of. And that's what this does. It can bring up these unconscious fears so that you can deal with them, so that you can move forward as a more integrated whole. So all of you have that strong energy in the 12th house. That's a short-term transit. As a longer-term transit, you have all had the effects of Saturn moving through your 8th house. For you late degree placements, you still have it moving through your 7th house. But what's the same about this energy for all of you is that the 7th and 8th houses are both partnership houses. So Saturn has been bringing heavy lessons, difficulties, obstacles, challenges in personal relationships and in financial relationships. So for the early and middle degree placements, that's more about relationships and the financial aspect and the all-encompassing legal shared responsibility. The later degree placements, you have this more strongly just in the relationship itself, which could manifest in many different ways. But when Saturn, the reason I'm bringing up Saturn now is because when Saturn goes retrograde, as it will April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, it will be retrograde through August 25th. It can bring a reprieve and an integration period to the heaviness that has been a constant in this relationship space. Saturn is working to improve your relationships, but it doesn't have bedside manner. That's the best way I describe Saturn, you know? It's trying to help you, you know? It's like a stern old grandfather who has your best interest at heart, but it doesn't have any bedside manner. It's not like holding your shoulder saying, oh, here, it's fine, you're going to be fine, and being compassionate. It just doesn't know how to do that, you know? It was just kind of like hard lessons trying to prepare you for the reality of life. It's basically what Saturn is doing. And it will bring gifts, long-term, permanent gifts, depending, you know, to the degree of the work that you do. So the harder you work to improve your relationships, to shore up your finances, to heal your old wounds, to, you know, work with things that are unresolved and bring up your weakest links to areas of strength within your relationships, the more you'll benefit from that in the near and long-term future. But hopefully you'll have a reprieve during this retrograde, which is why I mention it, because it's more of an integration period more than an active time. So, not everybody experiences Saturn transits as negative, heavy, and difficult. Many people experience Saturn moving through a house as a time when something comes to fruition that they've been working on. So a financial project, a marriage, you know, esoteric advancements, psychological or things involving mysteries, you know, delving deep into those things and then having great outcomes. I've seen many people have wonderful experiences with Saturn bringing things to fruition and form in those areas of life. So you might find that you're having things gel, and if that's the case, then yay. So those are the things that are on my mind for Taurus placements. I want to talk about the sweet spots and the challenging spots for April and other aspects of the general astrology. I'm calling the theme of April the general astrology transits that will affect everyone. Wrap it up. We still have a major focus on retrograde energy. We started this theme in December of 2016, and every month until now, we've had a personal planet retrograde and or the shadow period of a personal planet retrograde. So, this idea of taking unfinished business and clearing it up so that when we move forward and we have these signs of moving forward, especially towards the end of April, when Mars gets into Gemini and the energy really starts to stir up, we'll have this feeling of where we're going, you know, this long-awaited actual movement on an external level in the outer realms. But this month of April is a time to wrap it up. It's a time to resolve unfinished business. When I was planning these horoscopes, I was sitting one day in a place that had inspirational quotes flashing across the screen. And there was one that said, "There's more to life than increasing its speed." And that was by Mahatma Gandhi. And I really, really liked that as something to mention for this month, because the energy of retrograde is just the antidote to this over-busy, over-scheduled world. So the more we can take stock of things closer to home, take stock of internal events. You know, it's not that you can't say yes to opportunities that come in your external realms. Of course, it's fine to do things. Just know that new things that seem to come in a retrograde time often will change their terms compared to what you agreed to, or they might be shorter term than you anticipate. That doesn't have to be a problem. That doesn't mean you can't activate it. It's just an awareness to have. But as far as intentionally doing something, you know, it just lends itself to shorter term contracts, and it lends itself to wrapping up unfinished business. So we've got this theme that continues through April. Like I said, at the end of the month, you'll start to see things stirring up as far as like actual authentic outer movements coming soon. So I want to talk about some of the aspects that are going to be relevant this month. I'm going to give you a list of some of them, but you can get a more complete list when you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. I do a write-up for the upcoming month, and I send that out a month early as well, to give you more details of days that have good energy, days that have challenging energy, and how to, you know, what you might expect with those things. But here's a more summarized list. We start out the month with a really great burst of energy with Mars in Taurus trining Pluto in Capricorn. Mars rules action and Pluto rules transformation, and a trine is the best aspect in astrology. So, you know, you might see something come in that that could be notable, or you might use that time to try to get something done that's important. The same days, like April 5th, April 6th, Saturn's going to go retrograde. When an outer planet goes retrograde, there are different effects than when an inner planet goes retrograde, because outer planets spend a very long period of time retrograde, and inner planets, you know, the ones closer to us, they go retrograde in a different type of cycle. They're not retrograde as long as these outer planets. But in any case, when Saturn goes retrograde, I see it actually as getting a break from Saturn's chop busting. You know, Saturn is the disciplinarian, is the taskmaster. It wants you to do something, you know, to be on point, to step it up, to work really hard, to work smarter, to do all of this stuff, have all these lessons in the signs and houses that it's moving through. When it goes in retrograde, it actually eases up a little bit, where your to-do list is more manageable, where you can integrate the lessons, where you get a break. So I'm excited about the Saturn in retrograde for all of us, and that will be from around April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, until August 25th. Then we have on April 7th. Now I'm giving you the dates that these happen, but we can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after the actual day that they happen. So just be aware of that. So on April 7th, we have this yearly Sun opposing Jupiter clash. And this time the Sun is in Aries and Jupiter is in Libra. So this theme that we had quite a bit of last month through major outer planet connections, we have another little burst of this. So Aries is me, Libra is we. So it's like someone's individuality is conflicting with something in relationship, or a relationship obligation, or an opinion of someone you're in relationship with. So that could bring a moment, you know, in relationships where there's a clash there. On April 10th, we have the full moon, and that's at 21 degrees of Libra. this full moon is going to be conjunct Jupiter and square Pluto. All of the planets, all of the signs, all of the placements have a potential to have positive or negative effects. Sometimes we think about Jupiter as having positive luck-bringing effects, and that can often be true. When Jupiter is sitting next to something else, like an event like a full moon, it amplifies it. Full moons are intense already. So the completion, the fruition, something coming to be in the areas of Libra might be more intense or more expanded. So something notable with relationship, someone coming to an agreement, something coming to a closure, and some sort of, something with an interpersonal relationship will probably be the theme there. And the square to Pluto usually means that there's some sort of, person with some control or entity with some control that is not making the situation easier. Usually some sort of force that just seems like it's working against you. So I always like to leave a little room around the full moons because they're often emotional, and you might want to have the space to tend to whatever comes up there, whether it's a great positive thing coming to fruition that you want to be present for, or whether it's a challenge that's going to be emotional and you'll need a little time to recover. I think it's a good idea to leave some space around that full moon, which is on April 10th. On April 16th, there is a nice angle between Venus in Pisces and Mars in Taurus that could bring resolutions in relationships. So it's possible that that full moon accentuates this issue and that maybe this Venus-Mars aspect could bring some sort of accord back into the picture. On April 17th, there's a beautiful angle between the Sun, which is in Aries, and Saturn, which is in Sagittarius. So this could bring a boost to long-term goals or something that you've been working on for a while, some sort of positive energy there. And then on April 19th or the 20th, depending on where you are, the Sun in Aries is conjunct Mercury. Now, the energy, or actually by then it's in Taurus. So it's the Sun in Taurus conjunct Mercury. So this is going to bring a dose of realism and or a dose of productivity. Whenever planets get together, they have an amplified effect. Sometimes the effects can be a positive experience, sometimes the effects can be a negative experience. The Sun amplifies, Mercury is communication or information or news. So I see it as a realism or productive, something bringing productivity around that time. Then on April 21st and the days around there, especially watch your security on all levels and other private and personal information, because Venus in Pisces is going to square Saturn and Sag, and Saturn can bring some hard lessons and want some details attended to. And Venus rules money and love, and Pisces is stuff kind of going on in the backdrop. So just, be cautious of your personal things in the backdrop, especially around that time. Then on April 24th, we have Mercury in Aries making this beautiful aspect to Saturn and Sag, just like the Sun did a few days before. So this can bring in good news or more boosts to long-term goals. There are some themes that I'm seeing, a theme that I'm seeing this month because of a lot of pretty nice Saturn aspects, are these boosts to long-term goals. Now, even though we're in the midst of something, this retrograde energy that's kind of like a short-term energy or a going backwards energy, but if you've been working over this time to see to details in the backdrop, you might see these Saturn aspects really start to light up, showing the work that you've done is actually getting somewhere. On or around the 26th, you'll feel that new moon energy, and that's going to be at 6 degrees of Taurus. New moons are times to make wishes. You can check out my video, Making Wishes Come True. If you just search for Annie Making Wishes Come True, you can learn more about how you can use these new moon energies. But basically you get 10 wishes at each new moon, and the more you align your wishes to the energies of the sign that the moon is in, the more easily the universe can bring those wishes into fruition. I also have a blog up on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, called Making Powerful New Moon in Taurus Wishes, that you can use specifically for this moon on the 26th. So Taurus energy rules money, finances, self-sufficiency, connectedness to earth, or eco-friendly types of things, you know, earth sustainability projects. Also values, so anything along those lines will get a bigger boost when you wish for them around this time. Then around the 28th, and it's very close to this new moon energy, enough so that these energies could blend together, you could have electrifying experiences or information come in because Mercury is conjunct Uranus. And this is happening in Aries. So you really, anytime you have something involving Uranus, you got to look out for surprises. When it's in Aries, which it has been and is going to be for a while, you have to guard your physicality, especially your head. So, you know, something, you moving along and something bumping your head, the odds of that are increased during that time. So just watch yourself. Now, the odds are just as likely as information will bonk into your head, you know, as opposed to the literal hitting into your head, you know, insights, sudden breakthroughs. It's a really great time for brainstorming. Whenever I see aspects like this with Uranus, I really love it for brainstorming on any topic. Then we close out the month, April 30th, with this energy of Saturn and Sagittarius with Chiron and Pisces. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that really shows us how we have deep levels of woundedness and how that shows up in our lives and how we can make our weakest link become a blessing and a major strength in our lives. So at this time, there could be opportunities for great forgiveness to occur of self and others, and transcending the issue of feeling like a victim. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general astrology for the month of April. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my professional development courses. You can keep track of the registration for my astrology apprenticeship program, my coach certification and online business course. If you'd love to be a professional coach, help people reach their goals, that is one of the things I'm really good at, and I love to teach people how to help other people to do that. You can check that out. And I also teach my Creating Successful Online Business course if you would like to bring your business online and be free of your geography. So sign up for my email newsletter to get my monthly report. See what's new on my blog at anniehelpsyou.com. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.